Risk rating 2.0 still uses elevation certificates. You have two options here. You can use the elevation certificate or you can use FEMA's data. Now what we've seen so far is that FEMA's data is off still 30-40% compared to an elevation certificate. And one reason is that they're shooting all these different things. They're using all these technology things, Google Earth, Google Maps. But at the end of the day, a human putting their hands on that risk. So in elevation certificates, one other thing I want to show you too is, let's say that you go and help someone who doesn't have an elevation certificate. They decide to get one 4 months down the road and you decide to submit it to the National Flood Insurance Program. It can actually benefit them, and FEMA will actually go back to the effective date, put the elevation certificate on there, and actually prorate the policy. In case someone's wanting to get that, when I was telling them, there's really no way to know if it's going to be beneficial until it's actually done, unfortunately. I mean, sometimes it can be a big waste of money, but it's important to know that, hey, the policy can actually be prorated based on the elevation certificate when it comes to having these in a system. So just because they're not required, don't think they're not going to be beneficial anymore. Another area is, does anyone know where to find an elevation certificate if one's been done? So usually you can go to the county. Now I will use Florida as an example. I wish every state did it like Florida did. Florida actually requires elevation certificates to be on file for every county except for 2 counties in the entire state, which can be beneficial. So if it was like a new construction a few years ago, zoning department might have it. Other than that, the current property owner might have it, or the surveyor who did it, if you can track that down. Those are really going to be the ways to get it. But the great news is when it comes to elevation certificates, you're no longer getting that message of, hey, we can't give you a quote because of an elevation certificate. So replacement costs and premium rates, we've already talked about that a little bit, how big of a factor this can be, but what does FEMA accept for that replacement cost estimator? There's a lot of things. You can go to, as I said, one of your traditional carriers and use their replacement cost estimator. You can use appraisals and things like that. Now, what happens if you don't get these in within their deadline? Now, the good news is the deadline's moved to 30 days. When they first went to 2.0, it's 10 days. And customers were actually getting cancellation letters after 10 days if it had not been uploaded. But if they submit it to you and you don't get the information, yeah, they're going to send out a cancellation letter on that policy. And let me tell you how long it has taken. What we've seen so far when it comes to refunds in that situation, we just got a refund check on one that we did in December last week, which was 9 months. They get a refund back. As they were switching over to this program, there's been a lot of delays, and so it can be challenging getting their money back too if the information is not put in there accurately. Now, thankfully, as I said, they give you 30 days now, not 10 days, what they originally had when this program came out.